Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start the Santa Cruz County Office of Education's monthly board meeting for the month of April with a roll call, please.
Trustee Acosta? Vice President Estrada?
Here.
Trustee Larson?
Here.
Trustee Roth?
Here.
Trustee Van Allen? Trustee Williams? Oh, President Sanchez?
Here.
Student Trustee Hopkins? Here. Student Trustee Marcus?
Here.
You have quorum.
And I did want to share, President Sanchez, that Trustee Acosta did notify us that he will be here, but is running late.
Okay, thank you. Did we get any requests for remote attendance approval?
There's been no requests.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to ask our superintendent to help us lead in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise if you're able to, face the flag, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm looking for an approval of the agenda.
Moved.
Moved and seconded. Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes. Next is time for public comment. This is the time for anybody in the public to address the board on any matters that are not on the agenda. Do we have anybody interested in commenting? Do we have anybody online? Okay. Next, we have the consent agenda. Questions, comments? If not, looking for an approval.
Second.
Okay, we got a first and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Any correspondence that we received?
Two correspondence have been received since the packet was published. One was from Trustee Larson. It was his trustee report, as well as one from Trustee Williams, her trustee report.
Thank you. Moving on, we have the student reports, and we're going to start with Trustee Hopkins.
Okay. First, I got to visit the LGBTQ event we had on March 21st. I thought it was a really cool experience. I sat in on a couple classes that focused on identity and the many ways that different people can identify. Highlights, they had a student panel where they shared personal experiences as students in the LGBTQ community, and students gave heartfelt advice on how to create a more accepting environment for all students. I also thought it was really cool seeing staff from Santa Clara County there. It showed that their support and their involvement. Next, students over at Seabright went on a career tour to the boardwalk to show students that they offer jobs that last longer than the summer season. And students also attended a career panel at the county government building on Ocean Street to learn about potential careers and learned about the departments in the building.
Thank you. Trustee Marcus.
So, first, SoCal High a few weeks ago opened up the first new wellness center in the county, and then Harbor soon followed. Just new facilities. I've walked around the one at SoCal a couple times. They're pretty nice, and it seems like people are using them too. People are enjoying them, coming in handy. And then also yesterday, SoCal hosted the annual World Languages Showcase, and I was there emceeing actually. That was a really cool event. A lot of people were there from all over the county, a lot of different schools, a lot of different languages. And it was a pretty cool event just to showcase the language education that's going around in the county. And it's really good at just advocating for the promotion of languages.
Thank you. Makes me really happy to see you guys out in the community advocating for students and our many programs that we offer. Thanks for sharing. Next, we have our reports, discussions, and presentations. And the first one is Association of California County Board of Education. We're going to receive a presentation. And here visiting us is Janet, who will talk to us a little bit more about this topic.
Before Ms. Wohlgemuth gets started, I just wanted to welcome her. I got the opportunity to work with her in her role as a county board member in Monterey County when I was there as an associate superintendent, and also as until quite recently the director of the California Conservation Corps here locally. And I believe you're already retired.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
I
Not
got
yet.
89 days, but who's counting?
Oh, wonderful.
So,
So
winding
thank you
that
for
bad boy
your
up,
your
boy.
service and as a board
Yeah.
member and as well as all the amazing work that you're doing in our partnership with the California Conservation Corps.
Thank you. And I'll give you a quick update on the CCC since I'm up here. So we just held our week training this week, and we enrolled 4 of your COE folks, and 3 of them are going next week onto the fire crew. So that's the line that they're coming into. I have, I believe, 2 currently on the crew already, and one of them is waiting to hear back for a potential May start date with CAL FIRE. So that just in this last year and a half or so that we've been working on this collaboration together, we've had 7 of your folks actually come into our program, and they are leading their way to a career pathway with CAL FIRE. So it is successful. So pat yourselves on the back for making that one happen. But more than anything, you guys are kind of the talk with the CCC because everybody's asking me for my MOU between us so they can steal it and try to build something too. But it's never going to be as good as what we have. But I'm just a little biased, not too much. Okay, so good evening, Mr. President Sanchez, trustee members, Dr. Sabah, thank you for the introduction, and cabinet members. My name is Janet Wohlgemuth, and I am part of the Association of the California County Boards of Education. And I'm here tonight to kind of give you a little overview of what it is that we do, and also presenting to you to potentially join the organization itself. Okay, I either went the wrong way or it doesn't like me, one or the other. Okay, so tonight's presentation really is about talking about our mission and the purpose of our organization, learn how we differ from CSBA, and also discover how our membership benefits county boards and the trustees that we serve, and express our interest closely in collaborating with the California County Superintendents. So CCBE is by and for county boards. So it's the only statewide organization solely dedicated to you as county board members. The big thing is that we want to empower, innovate, and advocate with our county board members to go out and make your voices heard. We really want to provide you with those resources, training, and connections with other county board members that you may not be getting directly with that of CSBA. We're developing solutions tailored to your county board challenges. As we all know, we are definitely different than those school boards. We have our own unique challenges to face every single day. And we represent county boards in policy discussions and decision makings themselves. So a little bit about our origin. We actually were formerly CCBE, which was the California County Boards of Education, and we were part of a section under CSBA for over 60 years. We focused on networking, leadership development, advocating for our county boards, the annual conference, the spring training, and of course your trustee handbook. It was led by members of CCBE Board of Directors. We had a president. I'm a past president of CCBE. And the board was appointed and led committees, and we had a strategic plan. CCBE had provided services through a budget annually of $175,000, funded by dues that were set by the CCBE board and paid by your county boards of education to support us. We advocated for county boards, and for an example, we worked very, very hard as CCBE to get you that $80 million in additional annual COE funding that counties were able to receive. That was based on CCBE getting out there and doing the work. So along came the transition, and people ask why the change. Well, we got transitioned from being CCBE into Region 14 under CSBA's rules. CCBE's independent board of directors, their committees, policy platform, and strategic plans were all eliminated. And our budget of $175,000 annually and our reserve are now controlled under CSBA. Our representation is limited to 2 out of 31 of the CSBA's board of directors, 4 out of 18 legislative committees. Autonomy limited based on Region 14 is an advisory. All appointments to committees by the CSBA president and all policy matters decided by the CSBA board. Access to the California County Superintendent significantly reduced and led by CSBA. So CSBA board worked together on what they called the Transitional Working Group and their recommendations. They were called the TWGs. They focused on member services, not the autonomy or the identity. And county dues were structured, was not part of that process. 7 out of 18 of our recommendations that we came up with were adopted outright. That's your new member orientation, your COE MIG, your board self-evaluation gamut, and 11 of those were modified. And the big thing that we took away was the county trustee handbook. But we figured with that, we lost a lot. So ACCBE launched our own independent association solely on representing you as county boards. With our elimination of CCBE, resulted in fundamental recognition by county board trustees and the county boards of education throughout California, and being an independent voice for county boards for education is needed. And that's why we opted to go this route. We're an independent nonprofit led by county trustees, focusing solely on the needs of county board members and the county offices of education they serve. Our big thing is chasing the identity to celebrate the distinct role that we have as county board members and representing our 58 counties. Leadership, our board consists of current and former county board members. I fall into the former county board member, and I'm still actively involved with this organization. The autonomy that we have supports specific interests and needs of county boards, and it gives us the authority to decide the directions that we want to go through with our member engagements. So some of our keys, obviously, is we want to advocate, partners for success. We're working on building a strong partnership with our county superintendents association, as well as our small and rural school districts. We're engaging, elevating, and empowering our leadership boards and fostering collaboration and peer supports. And what we're looking forward to in the future is also coming up with innovative solutions to address the ever-changing challenges and changes as we have to face in the education division, as well as those of us in the county seats that we sit. So what are the benefits? Well, first of all, you get to advocate and have your voice heard and be visible as a county board. We have strong partnerships, like I said, with the superintendents and their group. We also are building a coalition with the small and rural school districts, CSBA, PTAs, working together to coming through with the Together to Innovate through forums, workshops, and webinars. And I know several of the members here have been on our workshops or our webinars, and I hope that they were able to take away some really good information from that. Regular network and peer support groups, mentoring and coaching. We came out with an interesting number this past year when we had elections. The amount of change that happened not only on county boards but school boards across the state, and it was astronomical of how many new board members there were across the state. And so being able to identify that, we realized that there's probably a high need to mentor those new folks coming in, because there's a lot to learn when you're a new board member, without a doubt. And then we're providing you a resource library to spotlight some of the great programs you're putting on, practices and policies that you're creating at county boards. Again, all this is on our website, and you can be able to see that. So some of the things that we're talking about, we did the advocacy forums. We've held a few of those. We're supposed to be having another one in May. Strong Start, which was a new county board trustees series. We've had 3 of those, and we're having another one May 5th. One-to-one mentoring and monthly coaching sessions for all the trustees. You don't have to be the new kid on the block. You can be a senior and be able to join in. Quarterly sharing, learning, and networking. We had one March 17th, which was a really good program. And then we have our advocacy and policy committee. We just had that meeting at the end of March. And then working together with our small rural districts, listening session that was held in March as well. It was great to hear what their struggles are and how we can help them, as we know we all serve those districts as well. Here are a few of the county offices that have joined us. So we currently have, we currently cover 55% of the student population right now in the state of California, just under some of these. And they are from very small to very large. You know, we have LACO in there, and then we have small districts like Del Norte and Calaveras County. So we'd love to have your logo up there as well. Not that I'm selling the pitch, but we'd like to have your logo there. All right. So again, we value the work that CSBA is doing, and we encourage you to maintain your membership with CSBA. We're not asking you to separate from them. However, the county boards of education need that independent voice. It's kind of like I've told them, it's a 1-2 punch. CSBA is there supporting the school districts as well, but here comes the county voice as well, especially on hot items like, as we know, our court and community schools, funding, your special needs folks, you know, all that money. It's having more folks coming in there and supporting and having a stronger voice gets things moving through Sacramento for sure. Can't talk about DC, but Sacramento we're trying real hard on. Okay. So how do we get involved? First of all, become a member. We're asking you to pass a resolution to join. You can participate in any one of our online sessions. You can join one of our committees. We are all happy to have you. I think I jumped over there, but your fees based on the, I know in your packet you received information on the fees. It was based on your 23 fees that you were paying to CCBE, and that's what we're basing it on for you this year. And the amount is $2,700, which is pretty minute compared to what we're paying for other things. So, and we based that on your overall budget. So, oh, yeah, I did skip stuff. I thought so. So yeah, it's fee based. So again, it's on your 23-24 fees. Right now, all of our workshops, seminars, whatever that we're doing online are all completely free. There is no charge to you. We are looking to put into a second phase for your trustee handbook. I hope folks have gotten their trustee handbooks, can go back to that, read it, understand the different parts in your roles as being a county board member, because as we all know, it's very challenging. There's not a day that I wasn't a county board member that we didn't face our own set of challenges. So, yeah, that's pretty much my presentation for you. I will be more than happy to ask questions. There is our website and our current president. So
Thank you, Janet, for taking the time to
Yeah.
present to us today.
no worries.
Questions or comments from the board? Yes? Ellen?
Thanks for the presentation. One question that came to me is, have you, or has the board been discussing future sources of revenue other than dues?
Yes, we have. We are searching for grants. We are also searching some, obviously, sponsorships, those types of things. So we are looking at that as well. We've had LA County supervisor has actually donated as well. So we're having other funding streams as well.
Larson?
Thank you very much. And my question was kind of the same thing, flip side though. So many professional and representational associations rely on conferences and seminars as a major source of their funding stream. And I was pleased to see how low the membership dues was. But if there were to be another conference,
Mhm.
that would be 5 times the cost of the membership fee. That starts to become a problem. You don't plan to compete with CSBA on the conference workshop.
Not at this point in time. We are not going after that. Like I said, there's some great things that CSBA does. Kudos to them to put on the annual conference. And of course, there's the county conferences and stuff like that. We're not competing against that, nor do we want to. Having served as the CCBE conference chairman, I hate to say this, but the conference actually cost us money than we made money on, even having sponsorships and things like that. That's why you saw how much you're paying for a conference, and that didn't include your rooms. It's not cheap. I mean, even the AV to have 4 of those conferences are in the neck of the woods of about $10,000. We were very fortunate one year that we got a $100,000 donation from the owner of Zoom. And we were able to build out a conference and then actually hire an employee to build the Toolbox program, which they went on to work in the Department of Education. So we're not competing, but we really want to provide good information on what you got to see on our website, the forums.
And I should have disclosed, I've attended 2 of your Zoom
Yeah.
workshops over the last.
Yeah.
And so those were helpful, and my only concern, in person just adds a different.
Sure, sure. And we realize that, and we also want to be very cognizant of your time, because we know when we pull you off to go to trainings or conferences, it takes away from your duties as well locally. So having those, and hopefully the timeframes are pretty manageable. They're only a couple of hours, so it's not like super bogged down, but we've had a lot of good reports.
Anyone else? Beth?
How are you going to be involved, like CSBA, in advocacy with both the state? So how?
Sure. So we are working on building that piece of it. Not so sure how far we're ready to tackle DC at this point, because that is a huge cost. But we are building a team right now. I'm on the advocacy and policy platforms. Right now, we're looking at certain bills that are coming out and how they affect county boards themselves, and making sure that we are reaching out to the authors and, either providing our support and those kinds of things. It's still early in our organization timeframe, kind of thing. But we are looking at potentially in 26 of doing a county-led type of advocacy day at the Capitol as well. So we looked forward to putting that together so that county boards specifically are out there in the front. It's not being, also with our school board members and the county members as well. It would just be a all county kind of day. So we are working on that, but I'm foreseeing that being a 2026 timeframe.
And one other thing is it going to, it's redundancy.
Mhm.
Are you going to try to duplicate everything that CSBA does for, quote, our regular districts?
No, we want to be separate. That's why one of the things that we're obviously encouraging you is to keep your CSBA membership. They do things differently. They do things that we can't do. But we're not trying to duplicate things. Like, we're not going to put on a county MIG program, for example. We're not going to be putting on the same types of trainings. We're doing stuff a little bit differently. And part of that is, again, we brought in, for example, the team from the apprenticeship program that I thought was enlightening for those of us that, we're supposed to be working on building our CTE programs. And how many of us knew about how different internships and apprenticeships were? We brought that stuff in. That is something that in the 9 years that I've been associated with CSBA, never heard, never seen anything about that department in California. So it was a very enlightening type of thing. So we're trying to be different in that aspect of, bringing you different things and also having different presenters to you that you're not getting in the big picture under CSBA. I hope that answered your question. Okay. You're very welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Board? Ben Allen?
I'm curious what our expectation as a board is for, we don't have a resolution on today's agenda, so we can't add. What's
Comfortable with being forwarded to staff.
And the purpose was to just was to learn, right? It's a presentation, which was just to hear. You have an opportunity to ask questions, to learn more, ask if we have anything that is we're uncertain about, to provide you guys that opportunity to ask those questions.
If I could, I would say that this could be a recommendation for the board president to put this, if that's the request, to put it as an agenda item for action in a future board meeting. And if the board chooses to participate, we would incorporate it into, we would make that happen.
Until we start.
No other questions or comments?
Well, I guess I'll say I have mixed feelings about this just because it's an additional thing to add to our fees and so on. But counties really are an arm of state government primarily. We implement so much that is really totally founded in state legislation, regulations, budgets, and so on. So having a stronger voice for the county perspective does seem like a desirable thing. I'm a localist, I don't go to lots of state things or national. So I like to work down here where the people are. So doesn't feel that important to me, but I don't, not to discount what everyone's efforts are. So I'm kind of mixed about it myself. If it were on the agenda, I'd be happy to talk about it. Not at the stage of advocating pro or con.
Estrada?
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah. Doesn't like you.
Really does not. 7. Okay. Am I good now? Okay. Um, thank you for the
Mhm.
presentation. I kind of wanted to say that I recognize how different our authority is, and going to CSBA conferences, and listening to CSBA. I mean, sometimes half of the things that are being said are not applicable to us at all. We're not involved in, the decision making, the intensive, management of day-to-day operations. A lot of the stuff is applicable to, our elected superintendent. So I think it is really helpful to be a part of an organization like this for, especially as a newer member, really getting accustomed. As I started, we still had CCBE, like the very tail end of it. And that was super helpful. Really getting a dedicated focus of like, you might hear this, and this. Don't worry about that. That doesn't apply to you. This is what you need to worry about. You have the authority for budgets, to approve, and, you're not really in a position to, manage that budget. It's advisory approval, consent kind of position. I think that's really helpful. I think it's something that would be a great loss if we weren't to join an organization like this, just moving forward in terms of, years down the line, the institutional knowledge that would be lost. I think that if CSBA really isn't investing in our unique authorities and position and, rights and not rights and, things like that, authority and not authority, I think that would be a big loss for future county board members. So I'm just speaking as someone who I think this would be really helpful. CCBE was really helpful for me coming on. So I think this is a great opportunity, and, we don't need to do everything.
Right.
And all of us, have our own schedules and already know maybe a lot of this stuff. So I think it's a great supplement. I think it'd be really useful moving forward. So that's just my perspective.
Thank you. Well, if there are no other questions or comments, I just want to thank Janet
you.
again for coming. We
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Appreciate being here, and feel free to reach out to me. I'm reachable, and in a couple of months I'll be retired and totally reachable, right? I heard I work harder in retirement than I did when I was going to be working as a job. So I keep hearing that from retired people. So I'm like, oh, do I retire? Do I retire? But I appreciate everybody's time, and really do hope to see you guys on our Zoom meetings. And I hope the ones that folks have attended have been beneficial to you, and we look forward to it. So feel free to reach out to me. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have a presentation recognition of National Multilingual Learner Advocacy Month. And for this item, we have Dr. Russell and Hubner that will present.
Barbara Hubner is our Multilingual Achievement Coordinator, who's going to have the wonderful opportunity today to be able to share with you some of the work that she leads across the county in recognition of this month, but of course throughout the year.
Hello, everyone, and it is a privilege to be here to share the work. And I'm excited to have this be my second time. So it is Multilingual Bilingual Learner Advocacy Month. And there's so many benefits to multilingualism: cognitive, social, emotional, economic. Alzheimer's sets in later for people who are bilingual or multilingual. There's all kinds of really interesting research about this now. So I'm pleased to share some facts with you about language around the world. So there are over 7,000 living languages in the world. but only 351 languages are used as the medium to instruction. As of 2020, over 2,000 languages are endangered of becoming extinct. And according to a UNESCO report published in February, one language disappears every 2 weeks. Zooming into the US. The US is home to 197 indigenous languages. One of these indigenous languages, Hawaiian, is an official language in part of the country. Guess where? Hawaii. Of the 197 indigenous languages in the US, 193 are endangered. The United States was also home to 49 indigenous languages that are now extinct. In addition, 37 non-indigenous languages are established within the country. One of these, English, is the official language of the country. So I was zooming into Santa Cruz. 40% of our students are multilingual. After Spanish, the languages most spoken are Otomayan, Mixteco languages. The third most spoken language is Mandarin. The fourth is Arabic. However, there are over 50 different languages spoken by our multilingual students in our county. Let me give you a moment to look at that. Are there any languages that are unfamiliar to you? I know there were first for me. I had to look up where Southern Altai was. I'm like, oh, Southern Siberia. I thought that was really interesting. We have, last year, 2024, 379 recipients of the State Seal by Literacy here in our county. These are all the schools that have that program. All these schools that value multilingualism. All these students who value this multilingualism. And the language is also where they earn their State Seal by Literacy. I want to point out and give a shout out actually to Watsonville High, who had 2 students who earned the State Seal by Literacy in Mixteco, an indigenous language. Also, San Lorenzo Valley High, you can see bolded Korean and Thai, and those are students who, for their home language, Korean and Thai. So they were able to earn the State Seal by Literacy in their home language. So we're going to zoom into zeroing in more closely to our alt ed students who are our county students, county office students. But before that, I just want to go over some terminology, because in education, we love our acronyms. So you can see how English learners, and I actually made an addendum because as of June 2024, where it says TK, it would only be K-12, because our transitional kindergarten students are given the home language survey, but they are no longer tested in the initial LPAC if they answered a language other than English or American Sign Language in the first 3 questions of the home language survey. And they're tested when they arrive into kindergarten. So we have our reclassified students who have gained proficiency after they've met the 4 criteria. Students who are initially fluent, those would be students who scored a 4 on that initial LPAC. And of course, we have native English speakers who are learning that second language, and they are also multilingual students. Our young students, we are referred as dual language learners. In our county office alt ed programs, you can see the percentage of English-only students, the students who are reclassified, students who are considered English learners, they have not yet reclassified, and the percentage and actually the number count of students who are initially fluent as English speakers, English proficient. Before we zoom in a little closer, I want to add one more term, LTAL, and that actually is a term that's been added, this group's been added to the California dashboard as a group of, and there's 2 definitions. LTAL, that term has been in use for a long time, and it refers to students, the top definition, as English learners in grades 6 through 12 and who are not progressing or lost ground on their LPAC and their English assessment, and also are not meeting proficient or have below basic or far below basic on their English language arts. So basically, they're not doing well academically by different measures, and they're all students who are 6 through 12. The dashboard has added a new definition, strictly is by time. Students who have been enrolled for 7 years after initial classification. So if we zoom in now into our alt-ed students, and these are just students, I've taken out the English only. So now we're just looking at our English learners. And we can see, we're constantly referred as ever EL, if they've ever been termed as English learner. So that would include our reclassified students, our long-term English learners, our initial IFIP, and then where it says EL, 0 to 3 years, those are primarily newcomers. So students who have been here 3 years or less. And we can see that the bulk of our students are reclassified or long-term English learners in our alt-ed programs. And because I am the multilingual achievement coordinator, we're looking at academic achievement because that's what, as educators, we're interested in supporting. So this is from our dashboard, and we can see how where our students are landing and how far they are from standard, how far they are from reaching proficient or proficient scores. There's the English learners, and then, as I said, the long-term English learners is its own group now. And the good news is it's in orange, and that's because it's gone up. It's increased their performance, like 35.7 points, 26 points. So that's good news, right? Yes. So there's work to be done for sure, but moving in the right direction in both English language arts and in math. The bottom measure is how they did on the LPAC, or their English language assessment measure. And that shows if they're making progress, what's the percentage of students who are actually making progress on that LPAC test. And there we have 28%, 28.3, 28.1 English learners, and 28.3 are long-term English learners. And also you can see that there's many more students because more students take the LPAC than the CASP, which is given in the 11th grade for English, language arts, and in math. So that also changed in affects numbers. And this is interesting data because we can see how our students are doing from before the pandemic, right after the pandemic, and now we've been back for a couple of years. Purple is good. So we can see how we have more purple. Those are students who are making growth, who are advancing a level in their, so that's really good news. So that's actually even higher than 2019. So there's a lot of growth happening around that. And then, and also we're seeing that less students, so it's moving in the right direction, shall we say. I've been a bilingual educator for a long time. This is my 29th year in Santa Cruz County. And I know times are complex right now, but I have never felt more aligned with state policy than I do now. And I came into teaching in the mid-90s. So this gives us a little history. There's always tension and movement and how things are happening. And last year was the 50th anniversary of the Lau versus Nichols, and that was a landmark decision that started the necessity for schools to provide support to students who are learning English as a second language. So just giving them the same as everybody else was deemed insufficient and breaking against civil rights. So next year, will be the 50th anniversary of the California's Bilingual Bicultural Act. And that was the beginning of bilingual education code in our state. But since then, things changed. There was like push and pull. We can see that in the 90s, mid-1988 with Prop 227, we had beginnings of No Child Left Behind and English only type movements. But come again, the pendulum always swings. We're back in when Prop 58 was voted by a overwhelming majority in California, 2017. That really brought back, I think, the values that we have in California of valuing multicultural education and being valuing being more inclusive. So with that, the EL roadmap was our state adopted policy, and it's kind of taken a little bit to get to grow roots. A lot of things happened since 2017 to now. They kind of detracted some work, but Assembly Bill 2074 passed this last September, so making the EL roadmap here to stay. And I'm going to talk about the EL roadmap in a minute. But first, you know that you are. I felt like I just have to share this because I'm like, oh, the blue box. That's part of the bill. And I was reading the bill and I actually got excited and I said out loud, ooh, I like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, who does that? I think a lot of us do that when we start reading stuff. But I got excited now about legislation. And what I got excited about this one says, as a comprehensive, aspirational, assets-based, principle-based policy, the EL roadmap policy differs significantly from previous English learner policies as it requires the involvement of multiple roles, departments, and functions within the school systems, as well as alignment across initiatives and levels of the system. And that means all of us, right? School boards, classroom teachers, families, administrators, classified personnel, all of us. And so what used to be very siloed as the one person's job, the ELD person's job, is now really the work of us all. And I think that's why I said out loud, ooh, I like that. So what is the English roadmap? Really briefly, it has 4 principles. The first one is all about assets-oriented, need-responsive, climate, culture, working with our families in partnership, our English learners with disabilities. And also where it says English learner profile, what that really means is understanding that English learners are very diverse as any other group, and we can't treat them all the same. We have to really think about who they are, where are their strengths, what are their needs, and how are we going to leverage those strengths and respond to their needs. Principle 2 is all about what's happening in the classroom. Rigor, high expectations, standards-based instruction, integrated ELD and designated ELD, having program choice. Principle 3 is all about systems, leadership. And leadership is at the top, because really we need leadership to be doing part of this work, right? We can't do it in isolation. Articulating our adequate resources, assessments, and building capacity. And principle 4 is about having alignment and articulation. So our multilingual students are experiencing a coherent educational experience, K-12. Oh, it says from LEP to EL to ML. When I first started teaching, we referred to multilingual students as limited English proficient, which is a very deficit language. And then we got to English learner, which is less deficit, but still deficit, because an English learner is being defined by what they lack, not by what they bring. We're all English learners. We're learning new acronyms, new words, new ways to speak English in more proficient ways, right? So I love multilingual. All right, so lucky me, I work here at the Santa Cruz County Office of Ed, and our strategic roadmap is in perfect alignment with the EL roadmap, our state policy, and which is really lovely and makes my work very coherent. You can see how Principle 1 coordinates with our priority of support, safety, and wellness, and joy, and well-being, and identity. Priority 2, what happens, equitable achievement in the classrooms, and building sustainable systems. So what does this look like? Here are some examples. So last night was our World Language Showcase, and we had Soquel High, Pacific Collegiate School, Harbor High, Pajaro Valley, and Watsonville High School students participate. We had students from Multilingual Youth Taking Action, MCing. They've also been part of designing the certificates and helping playing with the program. One of our MCs is here as student trustee, Ruben Marcus. We also had a student photographer from Soquel High. We had 2 students who were videographers from Harbor High. We had Baile Folclorico from Pajaro Valley students. So it really was a student full event. And I got goosebumps listening to the poems of the students. It's like one of my favorite events, one of my favorite parts of my job. These are just pictures from last year. Last year, I showed you pictures from the previous years because we're always, last night, it's too hot off the presses. Didn't have time to add them in. But I do want to point out one thing. The bottom picture is the student with his poster, and it says Cambio de Identidad Nativa, and he's talking about the identity, right? Native identity. And I just want to point out that the students really presented on very deep topics, very personal, and in a really impressive way, right? So it fulfills principle 1 in the sense that it allows a space for students to share their full identity. And also principle 2, because there's a lot of rigor in this as well. Another example of the work I do that we do here at the COE is providing opportunities to grow in our craft as educators to better serve our multilingual students. This year we brought Jeff Swears, who's a renowned expert on academic oral language, and we provided a PLC series where over 100 participants, including vertical teams from all of our districts that participated in multiple sessions. And I think what's powerful about this is that you do it more than once. It takes a lot of time to change your practice. You can't just go to one conference, go back to your classroom, and then you don't just change and implement that, right? You need ongoing support. So I'm really proud that we were able to do that. And I've had lots and lots of feedback of it already happening in classrooms and sharing. So there's a picture of the picture on the right, that's a school team. That principal brought a big team of his to learn and then take it back to his staff. And then I supported them in doing personal development at their staff to bring the rest of their staff on board, right, at a systemic level. So it's very impressive the work they were doing. Another important piece of the work we do is the Multilingual Leadership Network. And we have all these districts have participated. We call ourselves the Mycelium Network because a lot of the work we do helps the fruiting that's above, but we do a lot of work that's underground that feeds one another and feeds the forest or our students, our educational system. And I also partnered with Suzanne Denham from Social Emotional Learning, and we talked about transformative SEL, identity agency, and how that's really important in this work. One of the things that we did this year that was really powerful was leveraging expertise from the field. We have so many great things happening right here in our county. And so having different presentations at each of our network meetings to share what they're doing. And then what was lovely to see is seeing then people taking pieces from each other's and building them in and folding them into their work and then presenting it further on, right? So we're really seeing how having an opportunity to learn from one another and support leadership is really paying off. Just yesterday, I had a teacher from SLV, one of our schools in SLV, share how she took an idea presented from Julie from Soquel and used it school-wide for rotary classification for conferences and piloted that this year. So there's many things that we do here at the COE to support our multilingual students in our districts. I provide LPAC examiner trainings, unpacking the why we do it. I get to go to Sacramento and learn about new compliance and mandates and making them meaningful, right? Because ultimately, we're here to deliver on the promise of the quality public education for all our students. And sometimes when we get a mandate, we don't know what that means or why it's there. So I love that part of my work is to make that meaningful for others, right? And help them build that into their why. Supporting schools with their data, providing support as needed, technical assistance, and advocating for multilingual academic achievement by collaborating with other COE multilingual advocates. Our counselor COP, our Family Engagement Collaborative, with SELPA, with our science and math and coordinators. And yes, so that's some of the work that we've been doing here. And thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to share.
Thank you. Questions, comments from the board? Yeah, I was always told growing up that someone who's bilingual is almost counts like two people, right? You have access to communicating to more people in that aspect of it, right? And I'm very thankful because I grew up primarily in a Spanish household. Spanish was my first language. And when I enrolled in school, my parents wanted me to be enrolled in English. And because my parents wanted me to learn English. But at the time, the principal really pushed for me to be in a dual enrollment. And I'm really glad that we went through with that because it gave me the opportunity to really embrace, to really learn both, right? And not lose my Spanish, because that is something that definitely happens if you just speak English. And as you get older, your TV's in English, school's in English, your friends speak in English, and there's definitely a lot of value in multilingualism. So I'm very happy and I'm very excited that we have this seal. And I have a question in terms of how is this promoted? Do students know that the seal is available, or how does a student go about in obtaining this seal of biliteracy?
So that's a great question. I think by and large, they learn about it through their counselors or through their world language teacher. So students, but I think it varies greatly from school to school, right? And I think some schools position it as a very important part of their work and push it out in various ways, and others differently, right? So I'm interested actually in learning more about exactly what you're asking. How are students informed, and how to support more students to gain the seal of biliteracy, right? Along that pathway to biliteracy, right? So that is definitely, I think, something we have a lot of students who earned it, and I'm excited to find out how many earned it this year and how to continue to promote. And I think some of the schools are doing a phenomenal job. Like they're having 50, 60 students doing it. So finding out how they are doing it, how are they informing students, I think is one way for us to learn how to like promote it, right? What might work for other schools as well.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions or comments, I want to thank you again for taking the time to present
Thank
and
you.
share with us.
And I would just like to add that just a gratitude to Barbara for uplifting multilingual students and really celebrating this important part of our community and all the great work of not only creating opportunities for young people to shine, but also helping all our districts and making these conditions available for our students. So thank you for all your great work.
Thank you. It's my privilege.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the Environmental Literacy Initiatives Update with Dr. Russell and Amity Sandage as well.
Pleased to introduce Amity Sandage, who's going to give us a brief environmental literacy update, including some very exciting new things that we've had.
Thank you. It is such a pleasure to be able to celebrate Earth Month with an environmental literacy update today with you. Thanks for having me. I'm Amity Sandage. For those of you who I haven't met, I'm the environmental literacy coordinator here, and I like to start off with a little bit about that term because it's not like a math coordinator or a science coordinator. People are like, what is that? So, oh, wrong direction. There we go. So in the context of schools, this is the definition from our California Blueprint for Environmental Literacy that came out of our superintendent's office, the state superintendent's office in 2015. And it states that an environmentally literate person has the capacity to act to support ecologically sound, economically prosperous, and equitable communities for present and future generations. So it's not what often comes to mind when you think environmental education. And we're expected to be providing classroom-based lessons, experiential education, and outdoor learning in order to help students analyze environmental issues and make informed decisions. So you can see across that definition, you've got so many different content areas that are anchored in a context that is extremely meaningful and relevant to our lives today. So it's a very exciting position. Barbara and I were joking about it being like a contest of who has the best job here. We're both vying for it. So we'll see who you vote for when you get to the end of the voice. A little bit of the context for our county. Our County Office of Education, if you didn't know, was actually the second county in the state to create a position for environmental literacy. And now 12% of county offices across the state have a position like mine, and more to come. There's a robust community of practice statewide for county office staff and a fellowship that we co-facilitate. And in Santa Cruz County, 86% of our schools have gardens. 50% of elementary students have garden education as a part of their core curriculum. These are percentages that you don't see in every county. And our outdoor school provides that amazing immersive outdoor science program for over 90% of our students in our county, which is also not seen in a lot of places. And I think the other schools that aren't in that 90% do go on a program, just not our program. So we are on fertile ground, pun intended. Oh, I keep going the wrong direction with this. There's much more work to do. It's more relevant than ever. Our youth, I'm sure you all know, are spending less and less time outdoors and connecting with nature. We're down to 7 to 10 minutes a day of unstructured playtime on average for children. And so much research shows that time outdoors, as well as time in nature, both those things, even just time outdoors that's not in nature, have significant benefits to health for humans, mental health and physical health. So the students that are not getting that time outside, they're missing those benefits. And I share this because we have this incredible opportunity as schools to be the place where students can get their outdoor time and their nature connection. And that will bring those multifaceted benefits to them for physical health, mental health, that then help combat the urgency you see on the other side of the slide that I don't need to dwell on, because I know you all understand how urgent it is that we give our students a path toward a hopeful future. And this is an image I like to share of what that can look like in schools. Like when you're talking about a school that has all those things, if you were to walk to a campus like this, it's very cartoony, but and if you want to get into the slide deck, it's actually an interactive poster, so you can click on it and all these things pop up that show you what's happening that's sustainable. But you can see at a glance, there's solar panels, there's daylighting, there's kids in gardens, and there's human scale transportation and recycling in the classrooms, and all these things that show that the people there care about the environment, are connected to the environment, and the students are involved in all of it. And the interesting thing about it, and also all of those things connect back to our roadmap, our strategic plan, that wellness part, like the feeling joy and being outside and connecting with nature and getting that wellness. Having an incredibly inspiring context for learning helps with the equitable achievement, empowerment, and preparing students for careers in the sector that is the fastest growing in careers, green careers. And And then we are literally building a more sustainable future when students are involved in action toward the environment on their campuses. So the alignment with our strategic plan is amazing. And then we also have this framework that we use that goes with that image I was giving of how we think about schools. So all my work gets organized into these buckets that we're trying to integrate. So schools have their campus, facilities, their teaching and learning in the curriculum pillar, and all the community and culture support we give. And often those are very siloed. But with the environmental literacy programs, you can interconnect them in ways that magnify the benefits. So if students are able to be involved in the greening of their campuses or use the opportunity to calculate the benefits of a change on campus as part of their curriculum, then you're making that curriculum learning much more relevant and engaging. And then taking action goes into the community pillar and builds stewardship habits. So this is how we structure our programs with our teachers and students. And this framework also matches with the Green Ribbon Schools Recognition Award framework. It has the 3 pillars. They really emphasize health in the community and culture pillar as well, which aligns with our strategic plan very well. And I'm very proud to say the COE was the first county office in the state to receive silver level recognition as a Green Ribbon School in 2022. And we're going for gold this year. We reapplied. And reapplying means you get to find all the things you're doing. And I saved you. I'm not giving you the full report of whatever 47 pages. Oh, sorry. Back the other way again. This is the high level overview. I've saved you of curriculum, campus, and community culture. The underlined things in your slides are things you can click through to see more details if you want them. But we're working in the curriculum pillar really to integrate environmental education and outdoor learning rather than have them be an add-on, cool, fun thing to do after all the curriculum is done, because then it never happens. So integration through our Teacher Leadership Institute for Sustainability, and supports for access to outdoor learning for students in a variety of ways. On the campuses, super proud that our county office received Green Business Certification in 2023. That helped us learn what it takes to do that so that we're supporting the schools to get Green School Certification. And we created this Green Workplace Challenge program where our staff can opt to commit to new sustainable actions at their workplace that they're not practicing already. And we have over 60% of our staff participating in that, which we're really proud of. And in the community and culture pillar, we took that Green Workspace Challenge program and made a classroom version. So students and teachers can have a list of actions they can take and commit to 5 for the year, and then make a new habit next year, do it again and add new habits, and have that culture of stewardship grow across the campus. Youth for Environmental Action, I think you're all familiar with, so I'm not going to steal their thunder by sharing any of their projects right now. They'll present to the board later, but we do have their summit coming up, which I'll touch on at the end. And then working with so many community partners to try to bring in and partner them with the schools and the high school youth to add capacity and help them make their visions happen. And just a snapshot of impacts from that Green Classroom Challenge and Teacher Leadership Institute. In the first year of the Green Classroom Challenge, we had almost 2,000 students commit to those new actions in their schools, which ends up being almost 10,000 new actions happening. And it's really cool to see through the form what actions are popular among the students and share that back with the teachers and celebrate at the end of the year. And the Teacher Leadership Institute for Sustainability is a deeper program where the teachers develop an action project connected to their core curriculum that their students carry out. And That program really gets students outdoors more too. We found that on average, each of the students spends 85 hours of outdoor learning time while they're doing those projects. That's the average. And we also just saw teachers really feel like they built their capacity to do this integration work. And linked in there, each one of them creates a green classroom profile that shares the story of their project. So you can look at them and they can look at each other's. But I'm just going to share a tiny bit of that out of the 97 teachers that have been through the program in the first 3 years. This is one little story from Brandsfordy Middle School, the 6th grade science teacher. Her project was, you can see that picture of her classroom with just cement out front. And she really wanted to be able to have her students have access to living things outside for science lessons. And the garden was too far with the bell schedule. So they, with the class, they built a container garden outdoor classroom just outside the door. So she can send out small groups to gather data or do work in the garden classroom. And they built bird houses. This year, there's birds nesting in the houses right outside the science door. They went out to do some lesson and they saw the birds going in and out. And she's just thrilled with having this laboratory right outside the door. But what struck her and what she decided to share in her highlights was this slide. She put this together, which was all about the impact on the students. I'm just I get emotional. I chose a few to read because it's too small to see from there. But she had the students doing a lot of reflection out in the pollinator garden. And these are just a few of those quotes. So one says, "The pollinator garden makes me feel peaceful and optimistic. It makes me feel inspired to do something to help people or change something I don't like." These are 6th graders. "This area gives me joy beyond imagination." And this one says, "In a world full of war and pain, there's always going to be a happy place where I can put my mind at ease." And they're all like that. And so this is what we can add to our schools. Like this classroom just did this as a project last year, and she'll share it with her other friends and teachers. And there are 97 other projects like this. This year, this teacher is spreading it across the school. The students are, this slide is actually the students created this as their green space expectations that they're sharing with the whole school of how you need to be when you're out in the nature spaces on campus. And so it's really creating a culture of care and community and environmental stewardship. And you can hear more of those stories on April 27th when all of the participating teachers from this year, there are 40 teachers that'll be sharing their projects, including Erin, if you wanted to ask her any questions about hers, in a dynamic share fair. It's kind of poster session where every 15 minutes, 6 or 7 or 8 new teachers have tables where they're sharing, and then it swaps out. So we'll be doing that on Sunday, April 27th from 10 to 12, and then have a recognition ceremony for the amazing accomplishments of all these teachers and all the teachers who did the Green Classroom Challenge. So you're invited, and you're also invited to the Youth for Environmental Action Summit, if it's not too late for you, is this Monday at our Outdoor Science School campus. The youth have planned an amazing event and are really focusing in on transforming the school waste system as a climate solution. So that is happening all day, but you're welcome to come for even just a part of the day if you're interested. You don't have to stay the whole time. I know it's late notice. And wish us luck. The Green Ribbon Award announcement is on April 22nd, and we hope to have good news to share soon. And thank you so much for your support. Like I said, I can't imagine this is a dream to have a job like this, so meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you, Amity. Appreciate it. Questions, comments from the board? Yes,
Quick comment. Looking forward to volunteering at both
I
the
know, thank
Clean
you.
Classroom
Thank you, Greg.
and the Youth Environmental Summit, and I'm glad we get to stay and observe, so that's wonderful. I started my management career creating a Department of Environmental Services at the city of San Jose, the first municipal city in the country that had, the first city in the country that
Oh, no
had, that
way.
combined solid waste and sewer and water and energy.
I probably worked with you back there then,
Way back when we created
back
it.
in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Yeah, they were a
Eileen
partner
Bowden?
when I was at the Children's Discovery Museum.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll talk Sunday and Monday if you're not too busy. So this is great, and I can see both your jobs would be too hard to choose between you, so you both got thumbs up, and that's great, and it's just wonderful to see what you're doing in the community. I must say, the Branciforte School, I also was struck how the students had peer review with other student clubs. And it's
Yes.
hard to get adults to do that.
No,
Have
there's-
students doing it in the 5th and 6th grade.
Yeah, it's amazing how much thought they've put into those agreements and all the reviews they've gone through, and yeah, really amazing work.
Any other questions? Roth?
Yeah, my question is related to children outdoors and the relationship to being out there. Does sports count at all in when you're assessing?
Yeah, not that 7 minute, that's unstructured play, 7 to 10 minutes. But being outdoors for sports definitely is beneficial to physical and mental health. Like there's a lot of research that shows benefits of just being outdoors, regardless of if it's in nature. And then there's other benefits that you get from being in proximity to nature.
Because
Both are valuable.
in planning schools or rebuilding them,
Mhm.
I know that we were advised to look at the green space.
Mhm. Yeah, there's so many.
You don't always do that, and you asphalt over everything.
Yeah, and they've found that it improves academic performance, it improves attendance, like having green spaces on campus is associated with both those things, not just health benefits. So yeah, the more we can do it, the better.
It was just a
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions or comments? No.
Thank you so much.
I do have one question, maybe slightly off topic, but I know there was some questions or some concerns with the Koinonia campground a while back, but everything is fine in terms of renewing and using that space for the summer outdoor
Yeah,
camp? Okay,
Yeah, we haven't had any issues with the event.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any. That might have been a
Like a
something with our
renewing of a
lease
lease or
for
something?
outdoor school.
Yes.
Which is separate, yeah,
Okay.
from my use just for the summit.
all right, perfect.
If I can follow up, Mr. President, because that was something you mentioned that I had no clue. So when my kids at Westlake Elementary went to their science camp, that was to a COE supported.
Yeah, yeah, that's our own program.
2 kids go through it and had no clue that this entity helped to make that happen. So it's yet
Yeah.
another unsung story.
Yep,
you do
you'll
for
have
so
to have
many
Heather
families.
come in and present. Yeah, it's amazing the work they do.
And I believe our high school students.
Cabin leaders, yes. Yeah, they'll be tabling to get cabin leaders at the event on Monday. Get those high schoolers signed up as community service, and yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Before you walk away, Amity, I just want to also thank you, and I love that. I love this idea of folks wondering who has the best job, because, but you just the amount of support you know, you're such a respected person across the state, and often statewide agencies come to Amity to talk about how to accomplish, how to connect with students and schools and school districts and really bring people together to make, really deliver on the promises of environmental literacy and sustainability. And so thank you for all the amazing work you're doing. It's really transformative.
All right, we're moving on now to new business and actions, and we'll start with 9.1, the second reading of board bylaws. And for this one, we have Trustee Van Allen, Chair of the Policy Committee.
Trustees, this was before us last time, and unfortunately, Trustee Williams, I think, was the one that asked that it be held for a second reading. So I have a little reservation about acting on it without their input. But
So do you want to table it for next month, or?
Question, I think she wanted it to go back to the committee. Did it go back to the committee that she's on?
she, as I recall, she had comments, but I think she wanted to make them at the meeting today, is what I thought from last time. Do you know more, Bernice?
Trustee Van Allen, or to clarify Trustee Larson's question, the policies did go to the policy committee. We did meet, I think, about 2 weeks ago on Zoom. We discussed the policies. Changes have been made to the board bylaws. They were highlighted on the packet, the changes that were done. I don't recall, though, from the meeting that Rachel had any additional comments she wanted to share with the board, other than just wanting to, from March's meeting, wanted to make changes and differences. I know in the process of creating changes and updating these bylaws, we did review board bylaws from different counties, such as San Mateo County. So we did do some research in creating what you see before you, but I don't recall her wanting to specifically.
You've actually reminded me that we did have that conversation, and I think she was satisfied with it. So as it's presented today, it does have the amendments. Sorry.
That's what I'm here for.
Memory.
My
So,
only concern, so.
yeah. So I recommend that we adopt this for the final reading.
The 900 series, 9230 orientation, 9240 board training.
Yes.
The changes were highlighted on the board packet?
Correct.
There were not very many. They were,
There was only a few changes I can bring up. Give me one moment.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I'll move the,
Okay. We have a first and we have a second. We don't need a roll call. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. I'm sorry. And the student trustees? Okay, perfect. Passes unanimously. And so now we're going to do through the 5000 series, 5144.1, suspension and expulsion with Bruce Van Allen.
these again were changes essentially reifying what's been coming down from the state with revised policies. And there was very little in this that we have much discretion over, is what I remember. Bernie said, do you want to remind me what else I've forgotten?
No worries. Yeah, so the policy committee did review this policy. It is recommended by staff that this get approved. The changes have been highlighted, such as on board packet page 62. There was a large section on, or not a large section, but there was a whole section on on-campus suspension added, and then other few language changes.
So again, I recommend approval, and I'm comfortable with it only being a first reading. People want.
I'm comfortable with waiving the second reading.
Pardon me?
If you'd like to include waiving the second reading.
I'm comfortable with either, actually.
Is that a motion?
I think he made the motion. I think if you make a friendly amendment, Edward or I will.
Okay, so I'll make the motion and accept an amendment to have it included or to waive the second reading.
I'll second
And
that.
then you'll second it. Yes,
I have a
Rob?
question,
Mhm.
and it's about imitation firearm. Had an incident years ago where a student brought a rifle. It was a paper mache, did a good job on it, but brought it in early in the morning. Custodian saw it, tried to follow the student off, didn't know. And everything shut down. What this is brought up was, what if a student brings in imitation firearm all the time? Is that a problem? I mean, our custodian could not tell the difference. And if a student has say a squirt gun or whatever, but some of them are very realistic today. I think this is, what are we going to, maybe I'm looking at problems that are here. But I know if you brandish, then most people are not aware enough to know. And you just have it all react or whatever.
I could ask for clarification. What aspect in relation to imitation firearms
It
in
makes
the,
it sound like it's okay to bring imitation firearms.
so just to clarify, so Education 48900M is one of the suspendable reasons why students can be suspended for if they bring imitation firearms. It's a suspendable offense.
Oh, so it is, I
Yes,
guess.
and so that's an education code. It's, so I want to make sure that there's nothing that is in the board policy that's somehow different than that, is that?
I
Estrada?
believe
yeah.
trustee Roth is referring to page 62 in the packet.
Could you tell me what it says so that
Yes.
as I pull it up?
As required by law, the superintendent or principal shall recommend expulsion, and the board shall expel any student found to have committed any of the following mandatory recommendation and mandatory expulsion acts at school or at a school activity off school grounds. Number one, possessing a firearm which is not an imitation firearm as verified by a certificated employee unless the student had obtained prior written permission to possess that item.
Is this taken from Med Code?
Yes,
It's
so-
cited Ed Code 48915.
Correct. So 48915 are the required, they're the mandatory expulsions. And so it's explaining that, that the mandatory expulsion, which is for the most severe behaviors, is for a real firearm as opposed to an imitation firearm. However, 48900M, which is a list of reasons why you can suspend a student, one of those reasons a student can be suspended is for bringing an imitation firearm. An example that you gave, where a student were, let's say, to repeatedly bring an imitation firearm, and so let's say the first time they bring it, and the school provides support, intervention, counseling, all the kinds of things that we would put in place. If the student were to continue to do that, there's another part of the education code, which is 48900 B2E2, which says that other means of correction have not led to improvement in the behavior, which is another reason why you can expel a student. Obviously, we don't ever want to expel students, and we never actually expel students from our alternative programs. But in some cases, if a student is doing very serious offense, as you're describing, bringing in an imitation firearm or any other kind of repeated offense, then it could mean that a traditional comprehensive placement for that student is not appropriate, and they need a different kind of placement where they can get additional support.
Good. Yeah, I mean, I worry. You get in trouble.
Yeah, that specification that it's not an imitation firearm, it's just to clarify that this very serious mandatory expulsion is for real firearms.
Yeah. Times have changed.
Any other questions or comments? I believe we have a motion and a second. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Student trustees? There. Nice. Thank you. Passes unanimously. Next, we have 9.3, Resolution 25-10, proclaiming May 2025 for flying the rainbow flag and honoring Harvey Milk Day. For this one, we have Trustee Larson.
Thank you very much. We have 6 resolutions coming to you tonight. It's the rest of the structured agenda. All of these are resolutions that the board adopted a year ago. There's not new items coming forward. Just turns out May is a very busy month. Horrific. So let's jump into the first one, and I've called on my colleagues on the committee, Natalie and Trustee Van Allen, to assist in some of the presentations tonight. The first one is number 9.3, agenda item 9.3. And all of the resolutions are the same as last year with updates to dating, some non-substantive editorial fixes. Plus, we've added the new federal clause that we started last month, which for most of them reads some variation of, whereas recent changes in federal policy, funding, and staffing are creating new concerns and uncertainties for whatever the substance of the resolution is. So you will see that added. Oh, thanks to Nick and Vedenice for adding in the highlights to the changes to the resolutions to make it easy for board members to see changes from prior years. So thank you for doing that last minute. So for this resolution, we have no other change other than that adding that federal clause, but it is timely as we approach Harvey Milk Day. Recognize the challenges and uncertainties that so much of our LGBTQIA population are facing nationally and locally. You adopt this resolution tonight. As chair of the committee, I'll move adoption of it.
Second. Any questions or comments? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
It says roll call. Is that?
Oh, sorry. It is a roll call. Sorry. I
resolutions will need roll call.
apologize. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Can I get clarity on who made the motion? I'm sorry, that happened really quickly to me. Second? Okay, thank you. Student trustee Hopkins? Aye. Student trustee Marcus?
Aye.
Trustee Acosta?
Aye.
Vice President Estrada?
Yes.
Trustee Larson?
Yes.
Trustee Roth?
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen? President Sanchez?
Yes. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 25-11 in support of Day of the Teacher.
And for this one, I'd like to call on student trustee Hopkins to present this resolution on behalf of the committee.
Sorry. This is the same resolution the board approved last year. Each year, California designates a Day of the Teacher to recognize and the invaluable contributions of teachers. Resolution 25-11 reaffirms that the Santa Cruz County Board of Education appreciation and support for the work of teachers and certificated staff across the county. This resolution acknowledges the vital role teachers play in shaping the future of our students and communities and urges community members to join in recognizing and honoring educators on May 14th, 2025. The only change is our students and other community members should be encouraged to consider meaningful and rewarding careers as teachers.
I like that.
I'll motion.
Perfect.
No, second.
Any questions or comments? All right. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Hopkins?
Aye.
Student trustee Marcus?
Aye.
Trustee Acosta? Vice President Estrada?
Yes.
Trustee Larson?
Aye.
Trustee Roth?
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen? President Sanchez?
Yes. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 25-12, support of Classified Employees Week.
And I will present this one. It is very similar to the Day of the Teacher that was just presented by Trustee Hopkins. And it's to recognize all our classified employees. As we know, all of our educational services are dependent not only on teachers, but on all the other staff that provide the support for our educational services to be effective. And I like the parallel structure of having the support for the teacher and support for classified employees occurring in the same month. Because as a board, we're all dependent on both sets of employees working hand on hand to take care of students. And I will pause very briefly and say thank you, Natalie. Thought it was particularly appropriate for you to present the teacher resolution, given you're a student and benefit directly from those. So thank you for volunteering. So with that, the changes are identical to the ones that were in the resolution that Natalie just presented. So with that, I'll make a motion to adopt this resolution as well.
Perfect. We have
I'll
a
second.
motion and a second. Any questions or comments? If not, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Hopkins? Aye. Student trustee Marcus?
Aye.
Trustee Acosta?
Aye.
Trustee Roth?
Yes.
Vice President Estrada?
Yes.
Trustee Larson?
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen? President Sanchez?
Yes. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 25-13, recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, this is a resolution that was adopted last year by the board with two changes. One was the federal clause that I mentioned at the beginning for the first resolution, and some clarification of one of the whereases to the particular issues facing Jewish American population, and to make sure we're focusing on Jewish American population as what is being recognized by this month. And that was language that was proposed based on other resolutions that have been reviewed. With that, I'd move approval.
Questions or comments? Get a roll call vote, please.
Okay, so going through these fast. Okay. Student trustee Hopkins? Aye. Student trustee Marcus?
Aye.
Trustee Acosta?
Aye.
Oh my gosh. Vice President Estrada?
Yes.
Trustee Larson?
Yes.
Trustee Roth? Trustee Van Allen? President Sanchez?
Yes. Passes unanimously. Next, Resolution 25-14, recognizing May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
This again is a resolution that was adopted by the board last year, and you'll see in the packet, there's lots of changes to this one, but they really come by from one broadening of the community that needs to be recognized for all that they've done for education and society and culture and commerce. And it's adding Native Hawaiian population to the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which is a common change that's being made for these resolutions across the state. And I believe the nation. Nick did some work on this for us. So it's the new language that's going forward. So most of the changes are related to that. The other change is adding the federal clause, and it's just to recognize the importance, as with the Jewish American community, of their services and contributions to education in our society.
Actually, this is the Asian American and
Yeah,
Native Hawaiian.
It's like the Jewish American one. Excuse me,
Like-
sorry, it wasn't clear. And it's been moved, I'll second.
Questions or comments? If not, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Hopkins? Aye. Student trustee Marcus?
Aye.
Trustee Acosta?
Aye.
Vice President Estrada?
Yes.
Trustee Larson?
Yes.
Trustee Roth?
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen? President Sanchez?
Yes. Passes unanimously. And the last resolution, 25-15, is recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month.
In this final resolution, I've asked trustee Van Allen to present, and there's an additional change coming.
Trustees, this again is one that we have passed in previous years, and as trustee Larson has described, we've done a little bit of updating. I additionally wanted to add a second whereas addressing the national picture. And Bernice has been good enough to project it up. But the point of this is that it isn't just that we're getting concerns, but the stress of the national picture could actually be making it worse for some people that are susceptible to mental illness. The economic stress, the seeming chaos of decision-making at the national level in particular, and all the headlines about crisis, it just adds to everything else, and that can trigger or exacerbate a mental health condition. So I would like to add that clause too.
Proposing it, I'll move it.
I'll second it, yeah.
Any questions or comments? Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Hopkins,
Aye.
student trustee Marcus,
Aye.
trustee Acosta, vice president Estrada,
Yes.
trustee Larson,
Yes.
trustee Roth,
Yes.
trustee Van Allen,
Aye.
president Sanchez.
Yes.
And before we move on, Sanchez, I did just want to point out for the board how rather than bringing forward a new resolution for screen-free week that's now been adopted at the state level, we thought it was relevant here to be placed under the Mental Health Awareness Month because of the linkage that was presented earlier by Amity. And the state chose to make a screen-free week the first full week of May. Based on her conversation, it really should be the week that overlaps April Environment Month and May Mental Health Month because of the. I did just want to highlight, we are recognizing a new week where we thought it was.
Okay. Yes, Van Allen.
I just want to appreciate Trustee Larson for leading the effort on these resolutions and of course Bernice and Nick.
Yeah, thank you. Next we have superintendent report with our own Dr. Saban.
Thank you so much, President Sanchez and trustees. This is, as always, an opportunity to provide a few updates. I'm going to start with the fact that our strategic plan has been updated thanks to your support and to the involvement of a lot of folks. And so I just wanted to, there are not a lot of changes, but one of the key changes to the strategic plan for the next really 5 years is a expansion of the values that we have here. And those are the ones that are in the circle in black. Belonging is something that has really come to become an important part of what we intend to establish for our students in the classroom, our students in our community, as well as for staff and for families in our school system and our community. Relationships, innovation, data-driven decisions, having a growth mindset, a commitment to excellence, and to sustainability. And you'll notice that that spells out bridges, which is, if you notice our logo, that there's a bridge right there at the center. It's a way that it's a kind of a common theme that you see across a lot of different aspects of what we do here at the county office. Now you'll notice that just like before, we had a circle on the outside and a circle in the middle. The circle on the outside we refer to as our role, and so or our priorities. I'm sorry. So those priorities are to support safety and wellness, to empower equitable achievement, and to build sustainable systems. And so looking at how that is kind of a fundamental part of the different dimensions. And you heard from our Ed Services team as they were presenting how we think about this when we do our evaluations. We think about it when we are developing programs to make sure that that the organizational priorities are aligned to the work that we're doing, right? They're kind of guiding principles. In addition to that, you'll see that at the center there's these kind of like jigsaw shaped items there. And those jigsaw items are, oops, sorry about that, are really related to the, I'm just going to work off of this one then. So fostering collaboration and system improvement, providing support and oversight for educational partners, and providing services and support for learners, families, and communities. And so that first one is all about collaboration, is bringing people together. The second one is about providing support for school districts and oversight for districts, which is part of our kind of legislative responsibility. And then, of course, providing services, direct services to our students and our families. So those are kind of the different modalities that we do a lot of our work in how we offer services to our folks. And so I wanted to share that with you. We've ordered copies of the strategic plan for you to have, so we'll get those soon and we'll be sharing them with you. And you'll get to see some of the, not kind of only that big picture, but also what are the kinds of things, how does a lot of our work, our initiatives, how do they manifest, and kind of to show how we're committed to these guiding principles and our values. And I think that I hope that you'll continue to see representations of those values in everything. I want to thank you for helping us with developing this strategic plan for our organization. I'd like to switch gears a little bit just to give you a few updates on federal action and its impact on our schools here locally. As you know from our previous board meetings, I've been providing an update to to the board and to other community partners about the impacts. We've been organizing kind of them into these different categories: funding cuts, policy changes, other actions, and the impact on our community when it comes to instilling fear and other concerns that our community is experiencing. So what I wanted to share with you is one of the new challenges that we're facing is the continued the policy when it comes to setting policy, the continued effort to attack our LGBTQ plus and trans community specifically, with executive orders asking schools to out students, to require the notification of parents if students ask to use different pronouns at schools, for example, banning trans students from using preferred bathrooms or joining sports teams, investigating schools, universities that are allowing trans students to participate in sports. Fortunately, California law has really strong protections for this, and these are not laws. These are executive orders that are coming, and so our California laws continue to protect our students and our schools and our communities. And so at this point, we're not seeing any changes in terms of our practice to offer support for our queer and trans students. One of the newer pieces is that you may have heard about this, that the State Department of Education in California received a letter from the Department of Education stating that all LEAs, meaning school districts, county offices, and state educational agencies, had to complete a affidavit, a letter that stated that we are in compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, and that we are in compliance with or aligned to the priorities of the current administration. The Title VI of the Civil Rights Act was something that was part of it was put in place in 1964, mostly to end segregation. And there's kind of a weaponization of the concepts of the Civil Rights Act, stating that any effort to support students based on a protected class is in itself a violation of Title VI. In other words, if you have a specialized program to help students because they're recent arrivals to the United States, that in itself is illegal. If you have a program to help students who may come from maybe are students of color and who are underrepresented in university programs, and you want to give them, expose those students to the possibility of going to the university, that's a racist program. So it's an inversion of the Civil Rights Act to require us to verify that we are not doing any programs like that, because that they might be considered in violation of Title VI, which of course none of our programs are violating the Civil Rights Act. And what we've been directed or recommended to do by the California Department of Education is not to sign the letter, but let the state California Department of Education signed the letter on our behalf. When we get federal funding, we are required to provide assurances to the State Department of Education saying that we're not violating these laws or any other federal laws. That's a requirement. So we already do this. In fact, every time we get a grant, and almost every single, we have a list of assurances that we have to complete, and the Title VI is one of those, verifications that we have to do that we're not violating these federal laws. So, so we stand very confidently that we are not violating the law, that we're going to continue to be able to offer the services that we need to offer. However, the threat by the federal government that we may lose federal funding is very real and something that we're but I wanted to share that with you just as an update because this is something that has been being discussed. At this point, we don't have, we're not considering completing the letter because the California Department of Education did provide the letter to the U.S. Department of Education, and we'll see how that goes. At this point, there are 4 lawsuits that the state of California is participating in against the Trump administration, some of which are related to economics, some of which are related to cuts. And at this point, really, since we don't work directly with the federal government when it comes to funding for education, they're really the ones that are leading the way when it comes to litigation or legal action against the federal government for it's not really something that we would do ourselves. I shared this with you last time. I'm not going to go into it again, but I do believe this philosophy of reassuring our community, taking action, such as putting new protocols in place. There was a situation recently where the Department of Homeland Security did have agents go to a school in Los Angeles. They were not allowed entry because the protocols, the similar protocols as the ones we have were in effect, and they were denied access. So this was the first example of potential immigration action to attempt to take place in a schools that we've been able to verify, although they're Homeland Security, so not necessarily ICE agents, and so it's not clear exactly what they were looking for or what their intent was. Continuing to inform and prepare our community and working in partnership with our support network, advocate on behalf of our students in our community. I did want to share with you some exciting news. You already heard from Trustee Marcus that we celebrated the opening of our second and third. The first one was actually at Scotts Valley High School. And so the second one at Soquel High School and the third one at Harbor High School. So wellness centers being open. I absolutely agree with the comments made earlier that the current situation has really raised the concern for mental health for our youth. And so we're continuing with our effort to try to bring wellness centers at every high school in our county. And that's something that we're currently partnering with PVUSD on one in Aptos High School and with San Lorenzo Valley to have one there as well. Hopefully we'll get to all 9 high schools by 9. I believe it's 9 high schools by the end of the year. Or not by the end of the year, but soon. We did have a visit from the WASC, which is the Western Association of School and Colleges a visitation team that they just left yesterday. And so the way, just maybe for folks that may not be familiar, the way we get kind of the official stamp of approval that the quality of our educational programs is through in our case, the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. They come and do a visit. They actually, before that, they require a report. They then come in and they verify that the report is accurate. And then they basically say, well, you did a great job. We'll be back in 3 years to check up on you, or we'll be back in 6 years. So 6 years is always the highest because that means that they are so confident then that they won't be back for 6 years. So we won't know for a while until they prepare the report. But their report out to us was very positive, and we feel very confident, or we're very excited about the possibility that we might get a 6-year accreditation for the Career Advancement Charter and our Career and Technical Education Program. We participated in, we helped organize and host the LGBTQ plus symposium, which took place at Cabrillo College. It was the first effort to do a symposium bringing together students and other leaders to talk about how to support our LGBTQ plus youth and community, and really a wonderful event. Rio. Our Queer Student Union students attended the Advocacy Day for LGBTQ plus in Sacramento and actually spoke in front of the crowd, and it was really wonderful for those students to be able to advocate on behalf of all youth and LGBTQ plus youth in Santa Cruz County and in California, and really grateful for the leadership that those students are showing. We already talked about the World Languages Showcase that occurred yesterday, and students got to share, and we had multiple languages participating. I did a poem with some Spanish and Arabic. We had Hindi, French, I believe Mandarin, of course, Mandarin, and Spanish. Lots of wonderful languages, and Nick took some great pictures as well, and we also had a film crew from PBS that came and did some filming, and they also spoke to me as well. And so really a wonderful event. And our Youth-Led Leadership Alliance is being recognized as the Organization of the Year by United Way. And so we'll be celebrating that. How are we doing on seating for the event?
We have 3 seats available.
It's 3 seats available, and what day is it?
It is next Thursday, the 24th.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the 24th.
Next, oh,
Correct.
wonderful.
We have
Okay.
Trustee Larson, Trustee Roth, and Trustee
Okay,
Williams.
so we already have some great
Van Allen.
representation from our board. Wonderful.
Are we talking about Monday?
This is next
Thursday.
Thursday, United Way's dinner. I believe
Okay.
you're on my list.
I don't know if is it on the, it's not on the, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We may have some.
We definitely have a seat for you.
Right, excellent. So lots of great events. This Friday, we have Fashion Teens occurring at the Rio Theater. You already heard about the Youth for Environmental Action Summit, which is occurring on Monday. And we have multiple teams that are working with our X-Academy partners that are participating in the MATE ROV competition. I think, I'm trying to remember, do we know how many, anybody remember off the top of their head? How many teams? I think we have some like 8 teams that we're supporting now.
I think it's 8.
Yeah.
It's more than 5.
Yes, more than 5. And the Green Classroom Celebration that you heard about from Amity, we would love for you to join us at the COE All Staff Picnic, and also at the countywide Black Student Graduation, Black Grad as we refer to it. 4th. And then we have lots of graduations to celebrate. It's amazing that we're already coming into the end of the school year, and there's only something like 45 days left or something in our school year. It's calendar days. And so we'd love to have representation from the board at our graduations, and we'll also be participating in the 50th, is it 50th? 50th anniversary of Pride? Yeah, it is 50th anniversary of Pride on June 1st. So
Will COE have in the parade?
well, we're definitely going to be tabling, and so we've been talking about the possibility of actually having, especially with the 50th anniversary, for us to have a contingent to be a part of it. So we'll definitely. I think we have. What do you think?
We definitely have a booth.
We have a booth, yes.
There's a
Berenice has
table.
got the booth. She's working on that, but I think we'll put the word out and make sure we have enough excitement so that we can have lots of folks there, and we can have a COE contingent in the parade.
And I want to add the Black student graduation is at 3 p.m. that day, so I have a confirmed time.
Thank you.
And the picnic?
The picnic is most likely at 12 p.m., but still working out the details.
I may ask, Shilak if he's willing to follow up with Les, because we have Inside Education Maybe lunch could be at the picnic. Maybe lunch could be at the picnic.
And well, the picnic starts at 12, but it goes till about 4 maybe, right? Yeah, so because folks still are working, and so some folks can't leave until about 3 o'clock. And so anytime you come, you'll absolutely be welcome.
And there's ice cream.
I'll be there.
And that is it for my report. Any questions for me?
I thought about Black Grad. Last year, there was some backlash, and it was, my view, misinformed. Like, how come they get their own graduation? You know, that kind of typical racist victimization attention. But one of the things that I saw in a lot of those letters was, it seemed to me a misunderstanding that those students also graduated from their own high schools. So this wasn't like a substitute for the regular graduations. And I think the advance publicity about this should highlight that this is students coming from all over the county, particularly because this is important to celebrate their accomplishments. But it's not a substitute or a replacement or a better than or anything like that compared to the regular graduations. It's just an additional thing. So just in terms of thinking about the publicity.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. And it's an additional, it's really a celebration. In addition, and so students are absolutely participate in their own high school graduation, and this is in addition to that. There's an additional celebration. So I'm not. We'll take it back to kind of think about. Do you think you want to add something?
Just to make a brief comment on that, thank you, Superintendent Sabah. It's also worth highlighting that this ceremony has a really long and proud tradition here in Santa Cruz County of more than a quarter century. And it's consistent with purely ceremonial celebrations across the county, across the nation at UCSC and in many other neighboring jurisdictions.
I sat with two women 3 years ago who were instrumental in starting it. And they gave, I don't have their names, but it might be interesting for Nick to get a hold of them because their story was fascinating. There was not one single Black student graduating 25 years ago out of our system. That's one of the things I remember. And this was their response, part of their response at Black graduation. So it started as him.
Thank you, Trustee Roth. And we are in touch with that group. And in fact, Andres Ortiz, I believe, knows more about this, but we certainly are very proud of that history and in touch with it, and have invited those founders to participate in the ceremony in previous years.
And in fact, we actually celebrate them when they're able to come. So Madeline, I believe it's Norman Terrence is, and Nubra Floyd were part of the second Saturday network, and that was the group that celebrated the very first Black Grad over 25 years ago now. And so we invite them every year, and whenever they do come, we actually ask them to stand up and thank them for starting this event.
Larger public stage, I think it dropped my jaw to learn what was happening back then and what they were able to do.
Thank you.
Thanks. So with graduations coming up, I'm sure like we do every single year, there'll be a spreadsheet that goes around to make sure that we can all sign up. It's very rewarding. It's very encouraging to be able to attend. And I definitely recommend that each and every single one of us make the time to attend at least one, because they are very powerful and very beneficial. Okay. Next, we go to the trustee reports. And I'll start with myself and then work down the table. I did not get an opportunity last month at our meeting to share, but I did want to mention the STEAM Expo. I think it's one of my favorite events that we host. It's one that I've been volunteering at. They're always looking for volunteers for those that are interested in judging or just helping out. It's very encouraging to see our students with a project and presenting and advocating and standing behind their own research, and to see where that leads. We don't know what field they'll pursue, but it lights a spark in them to question, to get curious and explore, you know, different aspects and joys that they like. So I definitely encourage again everybody next year to those that are interested to sign up for that. It's very rewarding. And that's my report. Estrada?
I don't have anything to report. I was out on vacation for a week and a half of this last month. But I'm very excited to join some future events over the next month, like Fashion Teens tomorrow night already. That snuck up on me. And the Green Classroom Celebration. Anything that's outside of work hours will be great for me, and I will definitely attend.
Thank you. Van Allen?
Well, I managed to forget doing some committee work. That was the main thing I did this month. I'm very involved in a political campaign right now. It's taking all my time, so. For forgetting. But that's all I did was some committee work. Happy to work with my colleagues on that.
Thank you. Costa?
I have nothing.
You? Larson?
I sent my submittal in writing. Just a couple I wanted to highlight. Inside Education, I had 2 visits since our last meeting, and that continues to be a phenomenal program. Right after our last meeting, we visited Vine Hill and Mountain Elementary Schools, and just this week, we visited Watsonville School for the Arts, Alianza Charter School of Dual Immersion, and Cabrillo Early Childhood Education, and the culinary program. Visiting the culinary program means we get to eat at Pino Alto. So that's a double victory. I did, just given some of the agenda items tonight, Cabrillo Early Childhood Education Program, I had no idea that was there. And then we went into the Peace Library and kind of the structure for that's foundation funded. And there was a student from Cabrillo working in there, processing books and excited to do so. And it was for very, very young kids, just learning their books. And they had it in 14 languages, which I was so impressed. It happened when I was in elementary school. So that's wonderful. And then the Harbor High Wellness Center opening. I couldn't make Scotts Valley or Soquel, but I did make it to Harbor, and that was so impressive. And then that night to have the COE sponsor mental health fair, also at Harbor.
Thank you. Trustee Roth?
One thing I did was attend the career advancement. Wonderful, tasty, but also it was so affirmative of our program and student voices that really make it so. And I just also want to broaden that to say thank you to Dr. Sabah, all the directors, et cetera, who get the voices of our students out there. Because that's very, at least to me, very meaningful. And then I figured that with one of the students, more of her story. Yeah, oh, yeah, and that was more the jail incarceration aspect. Anyway, thank you.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, I think that there couldn't be better ambassadors for the work that we do than our own students. Thank you so much for being there as well.
Thank you. Okay, we're at number 12. Any ad hoc standing committee reports, actions that have yet to be mentioned?
Next month
Larson.
is a busy agenda, I understand, at least when you look at past Mays. But the legislation committee will probably be having 2 items come forward, both regarding workforce housing. We've touched on it at our last 2 meetings. It's going to be our focus at our next meeting. There are 2 CSBA-sponsored bills, and CSBA just yesterday did a workshop for members across the state, why it's so important for CSBA this year. So that'll feed into our discussion and what we bring back to.
Okay. Anything else? And at the end of our agenda, there is a list of scheduled meetings and upcoming events. So this is a good reminder of things that are coming up. And I do want to call out, we have 2 meetings in June, and I believe one of them is the LCAP, right? Okay, perfect.
There,
And budget, LCAP and budget, of course, of course.
yes, 2 meetings for LCAP and budget.
Okay,
Probably be having a budget committee in the next month.
okay. So with that, our meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.